in which I mean, I think during the early 80s there were subversive movements, certainly in music, which were truly subversive. They seem to have been eliminated from broadcast anyway, and they seem to have been replaced by a kind of fake subversive.
Oh, sure. There's people go through the motions. The whole new wave thing, if you want to call it, grunge thing that's happened in the United States of America. I first became exposed to this years ago when I saw that band Black Flag that Henry Rollins was in, and it seemed to me that there's these people talking about Charles Manson and shooting cops and things like this that didn't have any real substance, wasn't really coming from anywhere except just banal anger, or not even anger, but just seemed to be going through the motions. Very different to the roots of well, punk and what happened over here. Very, very different, and that's really gone now, developed into the whole Nirvana, Soundgarden sort of area. I feel a lot of it's shock value. They use a lot of shock value and not enough emotional substance within their inspiration. You know, I feel very much about, genuinely speaking, about bands in America.
Do you think that perhaps ideally the prime function of music is to remind mankind as a whole, I guess, of some kind of spiritual
yes, I do.
identity and unity?
Mm-hmm. Both Bach and Handel dedicated their works to the glory of God. Now, God is much misunderstood word, and some people don't like to use it, and I respect that too. But I can only see one function for music, and that is the great attitude, gratitude, and you just go, yes. You know, that's what it is for me, sure.
Are you getting...
I'm fine, just getting as much as you can.
Yeah, okay.
When she comes, we're over.
Yeah. I was talking earlier about, it looks to me as though you're kind of heading on a path at this moment in time, towards the roots of civilization in Iraq and Persia, and it kind of reminds me of Zoroastrian feeling that God created the world for and everything in it for us to enjoy.
Sure.
And we should do as we want with it in a holy way. But moreover, there's elements, tribalistic elements, which sound similar to the tribalistic elements which were Persian Iranian pre-Zoroastrian, whereby the masses would I believe, consume soma, that there'd be communion.
Sure.
At that level. It seems like
you hear that, communion there. Ironically, I'm going to Tehran to work at university this year, which will be a great experience for me, because I was the first Westerner to work at Cairo Conservatoire, and I'm going to Tehran as a guest of the government to work with, because they're opened up now with music in Iran, and to study some of those ideas. But I do very much believe in what you're saying about a sense of communion. The whole idea of live music is ritual for me, and I've had the most incredible experiences where I've actually sensed there is some sort of collective enlightenment going on even within a Killing Joke concert. But sure, I'm aiming to do that. But I think not just with music, I think it's the way we play our lives too, not just our instruments. I upset a lot of people as a person. I'm trying not to, making a sincere effort not to. That's why I live as far away from people as possible, on the other side of the world. I'm trying to contribute to that society in what I think is right and good. Again, I don't believe in an industrialised society, and so, you know, I'm a caretaker of some land over there, which I encourage the planting of natives and bush and, again, permaculture, as part of my personal politics, which is very much part of my music. When I think of my music, I think often of landscapes.
Do you think that
Well, don't worry about it.
do you think that the mass media is being used by certain forces in order to sedate the
Sure,
general
of
public
course it is.
so that they'll take whatever's given?
Of course it is. Look at democracy, and democracy as an intellectual idea is one thing. As a practice, where you have the collective, or let's say, the broad base of the population, the Daily Mirror and Sun readers, no disrespect, the simple credulous determining the destiny of a nation, remembering that those people are unconsciously controlled by panels of industrial psychologists and big business, and that the market forces behind electoral campaigns are utilising the collective ignorance as opposed to the collective enlightenment. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I can't be part of over here. The other thing is, of course, in England, you've got to remember that historically the working class people have always been right-wing. So you find a losing battle, really.
Could you kind of put that in the context of the music media being part of a policy of sedation for masses?
Yeah, but
in order that they'll take whatever's given to them.
sure. I mean, you've only got to have a look at the paper like New Musical Express to see that it's run by an editor called Steve Sutherland. Steve Sutherland's politics are more right than Genghis Khan's, and New Musical Express is supposedly a left-wing music press. Now here you have a situation where one of the biggest selling music papers that has traditionally been a left-wing music paper is controlled by a monopoly that has extremely right-wing views and an editor that has righter-than-right views. And that's just a small fraction of what's going on in the industry. Most people in the business who are involved in the administration side of the business have extremely right-wing politics. You know, even in the charities, even when you go to events like the music therapy charities and things like this, they're all incredibly right-wing. They toast the Queen. I wouldn't toast the Queen.
And the radio.
And with the radio, well, God bless the BBC, but they've given us lots of sessions, right, in the early days. But to get daytime radio play, which will determine your success or not as a band, is a very, very, very hard thing to do, and an extremely corrupt thing. And they assess the psychological aspects of your music before they'll give you daytime radio play, which is why we don't get daytime radio play. I never have done. You know, the only time we did with Love Like Blood was when we used white labels on the singles, and they didn't know which band it was, and they played it, and when they found out that it was us, it was too late by then. We'd already got plenty of radio play.
So how are you managing to maintain
underground stations, underground labels, underground radio stations all over the States, the college radio stations, fanzines. These are the people that have given me 16 years of a wonderful career. It's the small run outlets like I'm talking about, not the monopolies that have actually contributed to the rise of Killing Joke. How many bands have sustained a career and thrived and sold even more records over a period of 16 years like us? I don't know any that continue to innovate. I'm proud of that.
Well, what do you see happening at, I guess, was it the end of the millennium? What do you see happening at the turn of this century? And what would you like to see happening?
Those could be two different things. I see great ignorance coupled with great enlightenment. The two go together. If we continue to mess up our ecosystem, we're going to have nothing to eat. We're going to be eating shit. I think that's a big lesson. I think the Industrial Revolution was also a lesson that we have to learn from history. We have to look at the land again. That's what I feel. I feel everything is rooted in the land. If you turned all the electricity off tomorrow, you'd find me and the guys I work with in some cave making music.
Okay. I reckon that's
It's quite a lot.